Today, we are talking about a lesser-known 8-bit gem that deserves a place next to the legends. Little Samson, released in 1992, right as the NES was passing the torch to the Super Nintendo, Little Samson quietly entered the scene without much fanfare. Fast forward a few decades, though, and Little Samson is now regarded as a crown jewel of the NES library. Part of that reputation stems from its scarcity. It's one of the rarest and most valuable games on the system, but there's much more to it than that. This isn't just a collector's item, it's a genuinely incredible game that still holds up today. The story kicks off in a magical kingdom under siege by the dark sorcerer Takid, a menacing villain with ambitions of domination and destruction. The kingdom's only hope lies in the hands of 4 unlikely heroes: a young warrior named Samson, a nimble mouse, a wise old wizard, and a burly golem. Yeah, it's not your typical sword and shield crew, but trust me, this quirky ensemble is what makes the game's story so engaging. Samson is the heart of the story. He's a spry young warrior who wields his magical bell like a seasoned pro. His agility and determination make him the de facto leader of the group. Then there's Kikira the dragon, who adds a little firepower to the team. Old Man Gam the wizard is next, bringing wisdom and magical prowess to the party. And finally, there's K.O. the golem. K.O. is the muscle of the group, but he's far from just a brute. What's really cool about Little Samson is how it feels like an underdog story at its core. Each character is facing their own challenges, but they come together as a team to overcome something far greater than themselves. It's a tale of unity and perseverance, wrapped in a colorful, almost fairy tale-like setting. Little Samson's story may not break new ground, but its charm, heart, and focus on teamwork make it memorable. It's the perfect example of how less can be more, with just enough narrative to give purpose to the action-packed adventure. When it comes to gameplay, Little Samson doesn't just wear its inspirations on its sleeve. It takes those ideas, polishes them to a shine, and adds its own unique spin. The core gameplay revolves around platforming and combat, with a heavy focus on switching between the 4 playable characters. Each hero has their own abilities and stats, and mastering how and when to use each one is key to success. You've got Samson himself, the all-rounder of the group. He's agile, has a double jump, and his bell weapon makes quick work of enemies at close range. Kikira the dragon is perfect for players who like to deal damage from a distance. Her fire breath has decent range, and she can hover briefly, making her ideal for sections with tricky jumps or enemies perched just out of reach. Meanwhile, Old Man Gam the wizard offers a more tactical approach. He's slower than the rest of the team and has the least health, but his magical projectiles can pierce through multiple enemies. Then there's K.O. the golem, the team's tank. He's slow, but his massive health bar and powerful punches make him indispensable against tougher enemies and bosses. One of the most satisfying aspects of Little Samson is how seamlessly it integrates these character abilities into the level design. You're not just swapping between heroes for the sake of variety. You're constantly making decisions based on the layout of each stage. What's impressive is how well balanced the difficulty feels throughout the game. Unlike many NES titles of the time, Little Samson avoids cheap deaths and excessive frustration. It's challenging but fair, with enough health pickups and checkpoints to keep things manageable. The controls deserve special mention. They're some of the best on the NES. Every jump, attack, and movement feels smooth and responsive, which is critical in a game that asks for precision. Whether you're bouncing between walls as Gam or making pixel-perfect landings with Samson, the game always feels like it's in your control. If there's one thing that immediately stands out when you boot up Little Samson, it's just how stunning this game looks for an NES title. Released late in the console's lifespan, Little Samson is a masterclass in squeezing every drop of power out of an 8-bit system. Each of the 4 characters is designed with incredible care, featuring distinct animations that not only look great but also emphasize their unique personalities. The backgrounds are equally impressive, brimming with variety and detail. Every level has its own personality, from lush, green forests filled with twisting vines to the icy caves where shimmering, frosted platforms glisten in the light. Little Samson's soundtrack is an absolute banger, with tracks that range from adventurous and upbeat to tense and foreboding. Each piece of music feels tailored to the level it accompanies, immersing players in the game's world. Whether you're exploring a serene forest or navigating a treacherous lava-filled dungeon, the music enhances the atmosphere, making every moment more memorable. The sound effects are just as polished, with satisfying dings, clangs, and explosions accompanying every action. Each character's abilities come with distinct audio cues, helping players feel more connected to the gameplay. The graphics and sound of Little Samson are more than just icing on the cake. They're a big part of what makes the game so special. They elevate the already stellar gameplay into an unforgettable experience, proving that sometimes less really is more. Despite being one of the most polished and inventive games of its time, Little Samson flew under the radar when it was released in 1992. With the NES nearing the end of its life cycle and the Super Nintendo already capturing players' attention, Little Samson struggled to find its audience. Fast forward to today, and Little Samson is no longer just a footnote in NES history, it's a sought-after treasure with a cult following. Its rarity, combined with its quality, has turned it into one of the most expensive NES cartridges on the collector's market. Complete in-box copies can fetch thousands of dollars, making it one of the holy grails for retro gaming enthusiasts. The game's reputation as an overlooked masterpiece has also sparked conversations about the importance of preserving gaming history. Little Samson serves as a reminder that even great games can fall through the cracks, highlighting the need for emulation, digital preservation, and re-releases. Fans have long hoped for an official port or remake, but so far, the game remains locked to its original NES hardware. What makes Little Samson's legacy so compelling is how it has endured purely on the strength of its quality. Unlike some retro games that gain notoriety through memes or infamy, Little Samson earned its place through word of mouth and genuine appreciation. It's a testament to how great design can transcend time, earning admiration from players decades after its release. Today, Little Samson is more than just a retro curiosity. It's a badge of honor for collectors, a case study in 8-bit excellence, and a reminder of the magic that defined the NES era. It's the kind of game that, once played, sticks with you, leaving a lasting impression that feels as fresh now as it did over 30 years ago.